The Frugal Millionaire Next Door. Introduction. Welcome to the journey of a lifetime. When you close your eyes and picture a millionaire, what do you see? You probably imagine enormous mansions, incredibly fast sports cars, and closets filled with designer clothes. Society has trained us to believe that wealth is loud. We are taught that wealth means spending money to show everyone else how much money you have. But the absolute truth is completely different. Real wealth does not shout. Real wealth whispers. The true millionaires are probably living right next door to you right now. They are driving 10-year-old used cars, living in modest houses, and finding joy in simple things. In this book, we will strip away all the fake myths. We will reveal the simple and proven habits that ordinary people just like you use to build extraordinary wealth. Before we begin, I have a very simple question for you. Think back over the last few months. What is one expensive thing you bought recently that you now completely regret buying? Please take a moment and comment your answer below. Sharing your experience might just help someone else avoid making the same mistake. Chapter 1. The Myth of the Flashy Millionaire. Let us start by tearing down the biggest lie you have ever been told about money. The lie is everywhere. You see it on television. You see it on social media. You see it in movies. The lie is that being rich looks a certain way. We are constantly shown images of people stepping out of private jets, wearing watches that cost more than a house, and throwing $100 bills around like they are worthless. Because we see this every single day, our brains create a direct link between spending money and having money. But this is an illusion. It is a very dangerous illusion that keeps millions of hard-working people trapped in a never-ending cycle of debt and stress. To understand true wealth, we must first understand the difference between being rich and acting rich. Acting rich is what most people do. When someone gets a raise at work, what is the very first thing they usually do? They go out and buy a new car. They upgrade their apartment. They buy a brand new wardrobe. They spend the money before it even has a chance to settle into their bank account. These people might have a very high income, but they have absolutely no wealth. If they lose their job tomorrow, they will be in total financial panic within 30 days. They are drowning in car payments, credit card bills, and mortgage debt. They look like millionaires on the outside, but on the inside, they are exhausted, terrified, and completely broke. Now let us look at the true millionaire next door. Decades of deep research into the lives of America's wealthy reveal shocking facts. Research has found that the vast majority of true self-made millionaires do not live in luxury neighborhoods. They live in middle-class neighborhoods. They do not drive the latest luxury cars. They drive reliable, perfectly normal vehicles. Half of all millionaires surveyed have never paid more than $399 for a suit in their entire lives. Half of them have never paid more than $140 for a pair of shoes. Think about that for a moment. People with millions of dollars in the bank are buying their clothes on sale. They are looking for bargains. They are perfectly happy wearing a normal watch that simply tells the time. Why do they do this? Are they just cheap? No, they are not cheap. They are incredibly smart. They understand a fundamental principle that keeps them wealthy. They know that every dollar spent on a status symbol is a dollar that cannot be invested. They know that buying a fancy logo does not bring true happiness or financial security. They find their confidence from inside themselves, not from the brand name printed on their shirt. When you have $1 million sitting safely in your investment account, you do not feel the need to prove anything to anyone. The cashier at the grocery store does not know you are wealthy, and you simply do not care. True wealth brings a deep, quiet confidence that no luxury brand can ever provide. Let us talk about the ultimate trap of the modern consumer, the automobile. The driveway is where most people destroy their chances of ever becoming wealthy. Society tells us that your car is a reflection of your success. If you drive an old car, people might think you are struggling. So millions of people sign their lives away on massive car loans. They commit to paying $700, $800, or even over $1,000 every single month for 5 to 7 years, just to drive a car that smells new. The true millionaire next door looks at a new car and sees a terrible financial disaster. Here is the undeniable fact about brand new cars. The absolute second you drive a brand new car off the dealership lot, it loses a massive amount of its value. In the first 2 years of owning a new car, it can lose up to 30% of its original value. If you buy a $50,000 car, you lose $15,000 in value just by driving it to work and back. That is $15,000 of your hard-earned money simply vanishing into the air. Self-made millionaires refuse to let their money vanish. Studies show that a massive 44% of millionaires buy high-quality, slightly used cars. They let the original owner take that huge loss in value. They step in and buy a fantastic, reliable vehicle for a fraction of the original price. And most importantly, they pay in cash. They do not take out loans for depreciating assets. They do not lease vehicles because leasing is just a very expensive way of renting a car and never actually owning anything. Only a tiny minority of real millionaires ever lease a vehicle. You have the power to change your financial destiny right now. It is time to shift from just understanding these facts to actually taking action. This is where we focus on exactly how you can implement the millionaire mindset into your own life today. Here are the actionable steps you must take to break free from the myth of the flashy millionaire. Step 1. You must immediately stop caring about what other people think of your possessions. This is the hardest step, but it is the most rewarding. You have to realize that the people you are trying to impress do not actually care about you. When someone drives past you in a luxury car, you do not look at the driver and think about how amazing they are. You look at the car and imagine yourself driving it. Everyone is the star of their own movie. No one is paying attention to what brand of jeans you are wearing or what logo is on your coffee cup. When you internalize this truth, a massive weight will fall off your shoulders. You will feel an incredible sense of freedom. You can finally stop spending your precious life energy working to buy things just to impress strangers. Every time you feel the urge to buy something expensive to show off, pause and ask yourself a simple question. Am I buying this to improve my life, or am I buying this to manage how other people see me? If the answer is the second one, put the item down and walk away. Step 2. You need to calculate the true cost of your purchases in hours of your life, not just in dollars. Money is simply a physical representation of the life energy you spent earning it. Let us say you earn $20 an hour after taxes. You see a new jacket that costs $200. Do not just see the price tag as $200. Ask yourself, is this jacket worth 10 solid hours of my life? Is it worth waking up early, sitting in traffic, dealing with stress at work, and giving away 10 hours of my existence on this planet? When you start viewing purchases through the lens of your own time and energy, you will suddenly find that very few material things are actually worth the sacrifice. This simple mental shift will automatically cure impulse buying. You will naturally start leaving items on the shelf, keeping your money safely in your pocket. Step 3. You must change exactly how you buy your cars from this day forward. If you currently have a massive car loan that is suffocating your monthly budget, you need to create an exit plan. Consider selling the expensive car, paying off the loan, and buying a reliable older vehicle with cash. If you are in the market for a car, make a vow to yourself right now. You will never buy a brand new car again. You will look for vehicles that are 3 to 5 years old. These cars have already gone through their worst years of depreciation, but they still have plenty of life left in them. When you go to look at a car, bring a trusted mechanic to inspect it. Do your research on reliable brands that are known to run for hundreds of thousands of miles without major issues. Most importantly, start a specific savings fund for your next car today. Put away a little bit of money every single month. When your current car finally breaks down for good, you will have a pile of cash ready. You will walk into a dealership or go to a private seller, and you will buy the car outright. No monthly payments, no interest charges, just total financial peace of mind. Step 4. You must redefine what success looks like in your own mind. Grab a piece of paper and write down what truly makes you happy. I guarantee that the list will not include expensive watches or luxury brands. Your list will include spending quality time with your family. It will include having the freedom to take a walk on a sunny afternoon without worrying about how you will pay the electric bill. It will include having peace of mind, good health, and a secure future. Success is not a closet full of expensive clothes. Success is waking up in the morning and knowing that you are completely in control of your own life. Success is knowing that if an emergency happens, you have the cash in the bank to handle it without breaking a sweat. Make this your new definition of wealth. Write it down and look at it every single day. It is completely natural to want nice things. There is nothing inherently evil about luxury, But you must earn the right to buy luxury by building real wealth first. You cannot build a solid house starting with the roof. You must build a rock-solid foundation. That foundation is built on frugality, discipline, and intentional living. Every time you choose to save your money instead of spending it on a flashy item, you are casting a vote for your future self. You are taking a brick and adding it to your fortress of financial independence. Look around you today. Notice the advertisements trying to separate you from your money. Notice the subtle pressure from society to always upgrade, always buy more, always consume. Smile at it, because you now know the secret. You are no longer playing their game. You are playing a different game entirely. You are playing the game of real wealth, and you are going to win. You are stepping off the treadmill of endless consumerism. You are taking back your power. You have the discipline, you have the knowledge, and you have the absolute capability to become the millionaire next door. It will take time. It will take patience. But the peace of mind you will gain is worth more than all the luxury cars in the world. Let us dive deeper into the concept of stealth wealth. Stealth wealth is the ultimate power move of the truly rich. It is the practice of purposely hiding your financial success from the outside world. Why would someone who has millions of dollars want to hide it? There are several powerful reasons, and understanding them will completely change how you view your own money. First, stealth wealth protects you from the expectations of others. When people know you have a lot of money, their behavior towards you often changes. Family members might suddenly expect you to pay for expensive dinners or fund their business ideas. Friends might ask for loans that they never intend to pay back. Charities and organizations will constantly knock on your door. By living modestly and blending in with the middle class, the millionaire next door avoids all of this drama. They get to keep their relationships pure and genuine. People love them for who they are, not for what they can buy for them. Second, living a stealth wealth lifestyle forces you to stay grounded. It is very easy to let money inflate your ego. When you start wearing expensive suits and driving flashy cars, you can quickly lose touch with the value of a dollar. You start to believe that you are somehow better or more important than the hard-working people around you. Frugality acts as an anchor. It keeps your ego in check. When a millionaire is out in the yard mowing their own lawn, or when they are clipping a coupon at the grocery store, they are reminding themselves of the fundamental principles that built their wealth in the first place. They are keeping their financial muscles strong. Third, and perhaps most importantly, stealth wealth creates an impenetrable shield of security. In a world where financial predators exist, being flashy makes you a target. If you wear a $50,000 watch, you are advertising yourself to thieves. If you drive a bright yellow sports car, you're going to get pulled over for every minor traffic violation. The frugal millionaire walks down the street completely unnoticed. They drive home to a quiet neighborhood. They sleep soundly at night knowing that their wealth is completely invisible and entirely secure in their investment accounts. How do you practice stealth wealth in your own life? It starts with the concept of upgrading your life internally, not externally. Step 5. Focus your spending on experiences and education rather than physical objects. If you have extra money and want to treat yourself, do not buy another pair of shoes that will sit in a closet. Instead, buy a course that teaches you a new skill. Buy books that expand your mind. Take your family on a modest but deeply meaningful camping trip where you can bond and create memories. Physical objects lose their value and their shine very quickly. The thrill of a new phone lasts for exactly 1 week, but the memories of a great family trip or the knowledge you gain from reading a powerful book will stay with you for the rest of your life. Furthermore, education actually increases your earning potential. You're turning your money into a tool that creates even more money. Step 6. Master the art of the 24-hour rule. This is a practical, everyday tool that will save you thousands of dollars over the next year alone. The rule is incredibly simple. Whenever you feel the urge to buy something that is not absolutely essential for your immediate survival, you must wait exactly 24 hours before making the purchase. If you see a beautiful watch online, put it in your digital shopping cart, close your laptop and walk away. If you see a new tool at the hardware store that you really want but do not urgently need, put it back on the shelf and go home. Give your brain 24 hours to cool down. Consumer culture is designed by incredibly smart psychologists who know exactly how to trigger your emotions. They want you to buy on impulse. They want you to feel a sudden rush of dopamine and hand over your credit card before your logical brain has a chance to intervene. By forcing a 24-hour delay, you break their spell. You allow your logical, rational mind to take over. You will be amazed at how many times you wake up the next morning and realize you completely forgot about the item you were desperate to buy yesterday. This one simple habit is the ultimate defense mechanism against impulse spending. Let us explore another critical area where the flashy millionaire myth destroys wealth. The house. Just like the automobile, the house is a primary way people try to show off their success. We are told that buying the biggest house you can possibly afford is a great investment. But the millionaire next door knows the truth. A massive house is often a massive liability. When you buy a house that stretches your budget to the absolute limit, you become what is known as house poor. You might have a beautiful, sprawling home with granite countertops and a massive backyard, but you have no money left over at the end of the month to do anything else. You cannot afford to invest. You cannot afford to travel. You cannot even afford to furnish the massive rooms in your new house. Furthermore, huge houses come with huge hidden costs. The property taxes are higher. The utility bills to heat and cool the massive space are enormous. The cost to repair the massive roof or paint the massive walls will completely drain your bank account. The true self-made millionaire takes a completely different approach to housing. They buy a house that is significantly below their maximum approval limit. If the bank says they can afford a mortgage of $4,000 a month, they purposely look for a house where the mortgage is only $2,000 a month. They look for modest, comfortable homes in safe neighborhoods. They do not need a home theater or a bowling alley in their basement. They want a home that serves their family, not a home that they have to serve forever. By keeping their housing costs incredibly low, they create massive financial margins in their lives. This margin is the secret weapon of the wealthy. Margin is the empty space between what you earn and what you absolutely have to spend to survive. If your income is $5,000 a month and your absolute basic living expenses are $4,500, you have almost no margin. You have zero room for error. But if you keep your housing and car costs low and your basic living expenses are only $2,500, you suddenly have a massive margin of $2,500 every single month. This margin is the money that you use to buy your financial freedom. This margin is what you pour into investments. This margin is what allows you to sleep peacefully at night, knowing that if the economy crashes or you lose your job, you can easily survive for months or even years. Step 7. Take a hard, honest look at your current living situation. Are you house poor right now? Are your rent or mortgage payments eating up more than 30% of your take-home pay? If the answer is yes, you must strongly consider making a change. I know it is difficult to think about downsizing. Moving is stressful, but being broke and stressed every single month for the rest of your life is far more painful. Look into renting a smaller apartment. Consider moving to a slightly more affordable neighborhood. If you own a large home that is draining your finances, do not be afraid to sell it and buy something much more modest. Your home should be a place of rest and comfort, not a source of constant financial anxiety. When you slash your housing costs, you instantly give yourself a permanent raise. You free up massive amounts of money that can immediately be deployed to build your wealth. Step 8. Become a master of basic home and auto maintenance. The flashy millionaire calls a professional to fix every single minor problem. They pay someone to change their light bulbs, mow their lawn, and wash their car. The frugal millionaire next door takes pride in taking care of their own things. We live in an incredible time where human knowledge is available for free at our fingertips. If your washing machine breaks, do not instantly go out and buy a new one or call a repair service that will charge you $200 just to show up. Go on the internet, type in the model number and the problem. You will almost certainly find a step-by-step video showing you exactly how to fix it yourself with a $20 part. When you learn to fix things, you not only save massive amounts of money, but you also build incredible self-reliance and confidence. You realize that you are capable. You realize that you are resourceful. This resourcefulness is a core trait of every single self-made millionaire. Let us talk about the clothes you wear. The fashion industry is a multi-billion-dollar machine designed to make you feel completely inadequate. They change the trends every single season so that the clothes you bought last year suddenly feel outdated. They want you to believe that you cannot be respected unless you are wearing the latest designer labels. But remember the statistic we talked about earlier. Half of all millionaires have never spent more than $399 on a suit. They completely ignore the fashion industry. Step 9. Build a high-quality, timeless wardrobe. Stop buying cheap, trendy clothes that fall apart after 3 washes. Stop buying extremely expensive designer clothes just for the logo. Instead, focus on finding high-quality, classic pieces of clothing that will last for years. Look for neutral colors that can be mixed and matched easily. A simple, well-fitting, high-quality black shirt will look fantastic for a decade. It never goes out of style. When you shop for clothes, check the stitching. Feel the fabric. Is it durable? Learn to shop at outlet stores or high-quality second-hand stores. Many incredibly wealthy people love hunting for bargains at thrift stores. It is like a game to them. They get a thrill from finding a perfectly good $100 shirt for $5. Adopt this exact same mindset. Treat shopping for necessities as an opportunity to find the absolute best value for your hard-earned money. As we conclude this first chapter, I want you to take a deep breath and let all of this information sink in. The path you are choosing to walk down by listening to this book is not the path of the majority. The majority of people are broke. The majority of people are stressed out. The majority of people are living paycheck to paycheck, desperately trying to keep up an illusion of wealth. By stepping away from the myth of the flashy millionaire, you are rebelling against a broken system. You are choosing freedom over fake status. It takes immense courage to drive a humble car when your co-workers are driving luxury vehicles. It takes immense discipline to live in a modest apartment when the bank tells you that you can afford a mansion. It takes profound self-awareness to walk away from a designer purchase and put that money into a retirement account instead. But I promise you, the reward is beyond anything you can currently imagine. When you stop pretending to be rich, you open the door to actually becoming rich. The money you save today is the seed of your future empire. Plant that seed, water it with discipline, protect it from the weeds of consumerism. You are entirely capable of doing this. You do not need a massive salary. You do not need to be a financial genius. You simply need to change your mindset and take relentless, consistent action on the simple steps we have discussed today. You are the architect of your own life. Start building your true wealth right now, one smart decision at a time. Do not wait for tomorrow. The power is in your hands today. Stand tall today, make smart choices, and begin building the quiet, powerful wealth that will change your life and the lives of your family forever. Chapter 2. The incredible story of the janitor millionaire. There is a single excuse that destroys more financial dreams than any other force on the planet. It is an excuse that sounds completely logical. It is an excuse that society readily accepts. You have probably said it to yourself at some point in your life. The excuse is very simply this: I do not make enough money to become wealthy. We tell ourselves that wealth is strictly reserved for doctors, lawyers, corporate executives, and people who invent incredibly successful technology companies. We look at our own paychecks, we look at our monthly bills, and we mathematically convince ourselves that building $1 million fortune is completely impossible for a normal person. We believe that because our income is average, our financial destiny must also be average. This chapter is going to completely shatter that belief. We are going to destroy that excuse forever by looking at the true, documented life of a man named Ronald Read. His story is not a myth. It is not a financial fairy tale. It is a documented historical fact that sent absolute shockwaves through the financial world when it was revealed in the year 2014. By the time you finish listening to this chapter, you will never look at your paycheck the same way again. You will realize that the amount of money you earn is drastically less important than the amount of money you keep. Let us travel to a small, quiet town in the state of Vermont. This is where Ronald Read lived his entire life. Ronald was the exact opposite of the flashy millionaires we discussed in the previous chapter. He was born in the year 1921 into a very poor farming family. He was the first person in his entire family to even graduate from high school. During the Second World War, he served his country and was deployed overseas. When the war ended, He returned to his quiet hometown in Vermont and began looking for work. Ronald did not get a job on Wall Street. He did not become a highly paid consultant. Instead, he took a job working at a local gas station. For 25 straight years, Ronald Reed woke up early, put on a simple uniform, and went to work at the gas station. He pumped gas. He checked the oil in customer vehicles. He changed flat tires. He worked long physical hours in the bitter cold of the Vermont winters and the heat of the summer. He earned a very basic blue-collar wage. After 25 years at the gas station, Ronald decided to retire. But he found that sitting around the house was incredibly boring. He wanted to stay active. He wanted to keep his body moving. So after just 1 year of retirement, he went back to work. He took a part-time job at the local J.C. Penney department store. His job title was very simple. He was a janitor. For the next 17 years, Ronald Reed walked the floors of that department store. He swept up dirt. He mopped the floors. He emptied the trash cans. He was a quiet, polite man who simply did his job day after day, year after year. If you looked at Ronald Reed from the outside, you would assume he was barely surviving. He lived an incredibly frugal life. He lived in a very modest house that he purchased for $12,000 many decades ago. He drove a tiny, heavily used second-hand Toyota Yaris. When he drove into town, he would intentionally park his car far away from his destination, just so he would not have to put a few coins into the parking meter. He wore the same old clothes for years. In fact, his winter coat was so old and worn out that he used a large metal safety pin to hold it together because the zipper had broken, and he refused to buy a new coat. His friends and neighbors genuinely thought he was poor. They felt sorry for him. Someone once tried to knit him a blanket because they thought he could not afford to keep his house warm during the freezing winters. Ronald was known to cut and chop his own firewood well into his 90s. He would gather fallen branches and chop them by hand to burn in his stove, saving himself from having to pay for expensive heating oil. He was the absolute picture of a man living on the edge of poverty. In the year 2014, Ronald Reed passed away at the age of 92. Because he lived such a quiet and seemingly poor life, the town expected his passing to be a simple, quiet affair. But then, his lawyer opened his final will and testament. What the lawyer found inside that document shocked the town, shocked his family, and eventually made global news headlines. Ronald Reed, the gas station attendant and part-time janitor who held his coat together with a safety pin, did not die poor. He died with a totally secret fortune of $8 million. Let that number sink into your mind for a moment. $8 million. He did not win the lottery. He did not inherit a secret trust fund from a wealthy relative. He did not invent a brilliant new product. He built an $8 million fortune entirely on a blue-collar, minimum-wage salary. How is this mathematically possible? How does a man who sweeps floors for a living amass a fortune that rivals the net worth of highly successful doctors and corporate executives? The answer is the absolute core of true wealth building. Ronald Reed mastered 3 vital principles. He lived radically below his means. He invested all of his extra money into high-quality, dividend-paying companies, and most importantly, he left that money completely alone for over 50 years. Ronald understood that every single dollar he saved was a seed. Most people look at a dollar bill and see a cup of coffee. They see a candy bar. They see a tiny fraction of a new pair of shoes. Ronald looked at a dollar bill and saw a tiny worker. He realized that if he did not spend that dollar, he could put it to work. He could send that dollar out into the economy, and that dollar would eventually bring back more dollars. He was incredibly disciplined. While his co-workers at the gas station were spending their paychecks on new cars, expensive dinners, and the latest gadgets, Ronald was quietly taking a portion of his tiny paycheck and buying shares of stock. He did not buy risky, unpredictable companies. He bought shares in massive, boring, reliable American companies. He bought companies that sold soap, companies that sold electricity, companies that sold banks, and companies that built trains. He understood that as long as people needed to wash their hands, turn on their lights, and travel across the country, these companies would continue to make massive profits. More importantly, he focused on companies that paid dividends. If you are not familiar with what a dividend is, it is actually a very simple and beautiful concept. When a company makes a profit at the end of the year, they have a choice. They can keep all the money, or they can give some of that money back to the people who own the company. A dividend is a cash payment given directly to the shareholders, simply as a reward for owning the stock. Imagine you buy a single share of a large telecommunications company. Because you own that share, you own a microscopic piece of that massive business. Every time millions of people pay their monthly cell phone bills, a tiny fraction of a penny becomes your profit. Every 3 months, the company takes those profits and deposits cold, hard cash directly into your investment account. You did not have to work for it, or you did not have to put on a uniform. You simply had to provide the capital. Ronald Read took those dividend payments, but he never spent them. This is the crucial secret. When the companies paid him cash, he immediately used that exact same cash to buy even more shares of the company. This process is called dividend reinvestment, and it is the single most powerful wealth-building tool available to the average person. Let us visualize exactly how this works. Imagine you plant a single apple tree. After a few years, the tree grows and produces 5 apples. You have a choice. You can eat the 5 apples, or you can take the seeds from those 5 apples and plant 5 new trees. If you choose to plant the seeds, you will eventually have 6 trees. A few years later, those 6 trees will produce 30 apples. If you plant those seeds, you will soon have 36 trees. If you repeat this process for 50 years, you will not just have a few apples. You will own a massive, sprawling orchard that produces thousands of apples every single day without you having to lift a single finger. This is exactly what Ronald Read did with his money. He planted his financial seeds. He took the dividends and bought more shares. Those new shares produced even more dividends, which bought even more shares. Over the decades, his tiny investments began to snowball. In the first 10 years, the growth was probably very small and unexciting, but after 20 years, the snowball was getting larger. After 30 years, the math began to explode. By the time he was in his 80s, his portfolio was generating massive amounts of cash every single day, completely independent of his own physical labor. You might be asking yourself how a janitor learned to do this. Did he have a secret financial advisor? Did he pay thousands of dollars for expensive investing courses? Absolutely not. Ronald Read got his financial education entirely for free. Every day, he would walk to his local public library. He did not want to spend the money to buy his own newspaper subscription, so he would sit in the quiet library and read the Wall Street Journal and other financial publications provided for free by the town. He educated himself. He read about how businesses worked. He studied the companies he was buying. He took responsibility for his own mind. We live in an era where information is infinitely more accessible than it was during Ronald Read's life. You are listening to this book right now. You have the entire sum of human knowledge sitting in your pocket on your smartphone. You have access to thousands of free books, free podcasts, and free articles about personal finance. There is absolutely no excuse for remaining uneducated about money. You do not need a degree in finance. You just need curiosity, discipline, and a willingness to learn the basic rules of the game. Now let us talk about the psychology of Ronald Read. This is perhaps the most important lesson of all. The stock market is a highly volatile place. It goes up and it goes down violently. During Ronald Read's lifetime, he lived through the Great Depression. He lived through the Second World War. He lived through the Korean War, the Vietnam War, and the Cold War. He lived through the massive inflation of the 1970s. He lived through the terrible stock market crash of 1987, where the market lost over 20% of its value in a single day. He lived through the dot-com bubble bursting in the year 2000. He lived through the devastating global financial crisis of 2008. Through all of those massive, terrifying global events, the news media was constantly screaming that the world was ending. The newspapers declared that the economy was permanently destroyed. Financial experts went on television and told everyone to sell their investments and hide their money under a mattress. What did Ronald Read do during these panics? He did absolutely nothing. He ignored the noise. He understood a fundamental truth about human progress. Despite wars, despite recessions, despite political turmoil, Human beings always wake up the next morning and try to make their lives better. Companies continue to innovate. People continue to buy goods and services. The economy always recovers and eventually pushes to new all-time highs. While millions of highly educated people panicked and sold their investments at the absolute bottom of the market, losing massive amounts of wealth, the quiet janitor simply held on to his shares. He kept sweeping floors. He kept chopping his firewood. He kept reinvesting his dividends. He had built an emotional fortress around his mind. He refused to let fear dictate his financial decisions. This brings us to the most practical part of this chapter. How do you actually apply the life of Ronald Read to your own situation today? How do you replicate his massive success in the modern world? You must follow these exact, actionable steps. Step 1. You must absolutely destroy the belief that your income determines your wealth. You must repeat to yourself every single day that wealth is not what you earn, wealth is what you keep. You need to conduct a ruthless, uncompromising audit of your current spending. I want you to sit down this weekend with a pen, a piece of paper, and your last 3 months of bank statements. You must look at every single transaction. You will be shocked at how much of your hard-earned money is bleeding away into completely meaningless purchases. The daily coffee shop visits, the fast food lunches, the 5 different digital streaming subscriptions you never use, the premium cable television package, all of these things are stealing your future. When Ronald Read parked far away to save a few coins on a parking meter, he was not just saving coins. He was reinforcing his identity as a protector of his capital. He was telling his own brain that every cent matters. You must adopt this exact same identity. When you see a $5 monthly subscription on your bank statement that you do not need, do not just ignore it because it is only $5. Cancel it immediately. That $5 invested monthly over 30 years is thousands of dollars in future wealth. You must plug the holes in your financial bucket before you can ever hope to fill it up. Step 2. You must completely automate your wealth-building system. Ronald Read was highly disciplined, but humans are naturally flawed. We get tired, we get emotional, we get tempted by advertisements. If you rely on your own willpower to manually transfer money into your investment account at the end of every month, you will eventually fail. You will see a new pair of shoes or a new television, and you will convince yourself that you will just invest double the amount next month. Next month never comes. You must remove yourself from the equation. Today, you can set up automated transfers with your bank in 5 minutes. You must determine a specific percentage of your income that you are going to invest. Even if it is only 10% or 5% or just $20 a week, you must start. Set up an automatic transfer so that the very day your paycheck hits your bank account, that specific amount of money is instantly moved into your investment account. You do not even look at it. You do not even consider it as money you can spend. It is gone. It has been sent out to work. This is the absolute definition of paying yourself first. You are paying your future self before you pay the grocery store, before you pay the electric company, and before you pay the restaurants. Step 3. You must begin investing in the broad economy immediately. You do not need to pick individual stocks like Ronald Read did. Picking individual stocks takes massive amounts of research, and there is always a risk that a single company could go bankrupt. Today, we have an incredibly powerful tool called an index fund. An index fund is a single investment that automatically buys you a tiny piece of hundreds or thousands of different companies all at once. When you buy a broad market index fund, you are buying a tiny slice of the entire American economy. You own a piece of the massive technology companies, the huge healthcare companies, the massive retail chains, and the enormous industrial companies. You get the dividends from all of them. If one company fails, it does not matter because you own hundreds of others that are succeeding. It is the ultimate way to invest with zero stress and zero daily research. Once your money is automatically transferred into your investment account, set it to automatically buy the index fund. Do this every single week or every single month, regardless of what the stock market is doing. If the market is up, you buy. If the market is down, you buy even more because it is on sale. Step 4. You must practice extreme patience and emotional control. This is where most people completely fail. We live in a society of instant gratification. We want our food delivered in 10 minutes. We want our movies instantly streamed to our televisions. We want to be rich by next Tuesday. Building true wealth does not work this way. Building wealth is a slow, boring, and highly predictable process. When you start investing, the first few years will feel incredibly slow. You might look at your account after 2 years and feel discouraged that you only have a few $1,000s. This is the exact moment when most people quit. They sell their investments and go buy a car instead, claiming that investing does not work. You must push through this boring phase. Remember the apple tree. A seed does not become a tree in a week. It takes years of invisible growth beneath the soil before the massive trunk and branches appear. You must vow to completely ignore the daily financial news. The news exists to sell advertisements, and the best way to sell advertisements is to make you panic. They will constantly tell you that a crash is coming. They will constantly tell you that you are doing it wrong. Turn off the television. Delete the financial news applications from your phone. Do not check your investment balance every single day. Checking your investments daily is like digging up a seed every morning to see if it has grown yet. All you do is disturb the roots and kill the plant. Check your accounts once a year just to make sure the automated systems are working, and then go live your life. Go for a walk, read a book, sweep a floor. Let the money do the heavy lifting in the background. Step 5. You must find joy and health in physical, frugal activities. Let us look again at Ronald Read, chopping his own firewood well into his 90s. This was not just a way to save money on heating oil. This was a profound secret to his long life. By engaging in constant, practical physical labor, he kept his body incredibly strong. He did not pay $50 a month for a fancy gym membership where he walked on a treadmill while staring at a television. He got his exercise by maintaining his own life. You can apply this powerful principle right now. Stop paying people to do things that you are completely capable of doing yourself. If you have a lawn, mow it yourself. The act of pushing a lawnmower is fantastic cardiovascular exercise. It gets you outside in the sunshine. It saves you money. If your house needs to be cleaned, do not hire a cleaning service. Put on some music, grab a mop and clean it yourself. Scrubbing floors and wiping down windows burns calories and keeps you active. Walk to the grocery store if it is close enough, instead of driving your car. Carry the heavy bags back home. By blending your physical health with your frugal habits, you achieve a massive double benefit. You save thousands of dollars a year in service fees and gym memberships, and you build a resilient, healthy body that will allow you to actually enjoy the millions of dollars you are accumulating. There is absolute dignity in taking care of your own environment. Sweeping a floor is not beneath you. Fixing a leaky pipe is not beneath you. These are the practical skills that keep you grounded in reality, while your investment accounts quietly grow into the millions. Step 6. You must discover your deepest motivation. You must find your ultimate why. Building an $8 million fortune on a janitor's salary requires decades of immense discipline. Willpower alone is not enough to sustain you for 50 years. Willpower runs out when you are tired. Willpower fails when you have had a terrible day at work and you just want to buy something to make yourself feel better. To maintain the discipline of Ronald Read, you need a burning, deeply emotional reason for building wealth. Why did Ronald Read do it? He clearly did not care about driving a fancy car. He did not care about living in a mansion. He wore a coat held together by a safety pin, so he obviously did not care about impressing anyone with his clothes. Ronald Read was driven by a desire to leave a profound legacy. He wanted to change his community. When he died, he left $6 million of his fortune to 2 vital institutions in his small town. He left a massive sum to the local hospital to ensure that his neighbors would always have access to incredible medical care. He left another massive sum to the local library, the exact same library where he sat for decades reading the Wall Street Journal for free. He used his wealth to build a permanent monument of generosity. He changed the lives of thousands of people he would never even meet. That is true power. That is the ultimate flex of a millionaire. What is your reason? Why are you choosing to live below your means? Why are you choosing to invest your money instead of spending it on fleeting pleasures? You need to stop right now and deeply consider this question. Is your goal to make sure your children can graduate from college without the crushing burden of student loan debt? Is your goal to buy a piece of land in the mountains where you can build a quiet cabin and live in total peace? Is your goal to walk into your boss's office one day, look them in the eye, and politely tell them you are retiring 10 years early because you simply do not need their money anymore? Whatever your reason is, it must be highly emotional. It must bring a tear to your eye when you think about it. Write this reason down on a piece of physical paper. Do not just type it into your phone. Write it with a pen. Tape that piece of paper to your bathroom mirror so you are forced to look at it every single morning while you brush your teeth. Put a copy of it in your wallet right next to your credit cards. When you are standing in a store holding an expensive item that you do not really need and you reach for your credit card, you will be forced to look at your ultimate goal. You will ask yourself, is this temporary physical object more important than my ultimate freedom? Is this new gadget more important than my children's future? The answer will almost always be no. You will put the item down, you will keep your money, and you will walk out of the store feeling a massive surge of power and control. Let us contrast the incredible life of Ronald Reid with the typical high-income earner in his very own town. Imagine a highly successful doctor who worked at the exact same hospital that Ronald eventually gave his millions to. This doctor earns $400,000 every single year. From the outside, the doctor looks like an absolute king. He lives in a massive, sprawling house with 7 bedrooms and a perfectly manicured lawn that he pays a landscaping company $500 a month to maintain. He drives a brand new, incredibly expensive imported luxury car that costs him over $1,500 a month in lease payments. His spouse drives an equally expensive luxury sport utility vehicle. They send their children to exclusive private schools. They take lavish, expensive vacations to Europe every single summer, staying in 5-star resorts. The doctor earns an absolute fortune. Over a 30-year career, he brings in over $12 million in total income. But here is the devastating reality. Because the doctor is trapped in the cycle of massive consumption, he spends almost everything he earns. The massive mortgage, the huge property taxes, the car payments, the private school tuition, the expensive dinners, and the luxury vacations consume almost all of his massive paycheck. After taxes and his wildly expensive lifestyle, he is only able to save a tiny fraction of his income. Furthermore, because he feels the constant pressure to look rich, he makes terrible investment decisions. He tries to get rich quickly. He invests in highly speculative real estate deals that his wealthy friends recommend. He buys flashy, risky startup companies, hoping they will double overnight. He constantly watches the financial news and panics when the market drops, selling his investments at a massive loss. When this doctor finally reaches the age of 65, he is completely exhausted. He has worked high-stress, grueling hours for 3 decades. He wants to retire, but when he looks at his financial accounts, he realizes a terrifying truth. He only has $1 million saved. While $1 million sounds like a lot of money, it is absolutely nothing compared to the massive lifestyle he has built. He needs $300,000 a year just to maintain his massive house and his cars. His $1 million will run out in just over 3 years. The doctor cannot retire. He is trapped. He has built a golden cage, and he must keep working, exhausted and stressed, just to keep the illusion alive. He looks rich, but he is fundamentally poor in the one currency that actually matters: freedom, time. Meanwhile, just a few miles away, the quiet janitor named Ronald Reid is sweeping floors at the department store. He earns a microscopic fraction of what the doctor earns. He drives a rusted Toyota. He wears a coat held together by a safety pin. But when Ronald goes home to his quiet, paid-off $12,000 house and chops his firewood, he is at total peace. He has absolutely no debt. He has zero financial stress. He checks his investment accounts once a year, and he sees a balance of $4 million, then $5 million, then $8 million. Ronald Reid possessed more actual wealth and far more absolute freedom than the doctor could ever even dream of. Ronald was not sweeping floors because he had to. He was sweeping floors because he wanted to stay active. If he woke up one morning and decided he did not want to sweep floors anymore, he could simply stop. He had the ultimate luxury. He owned his own time. This contrast is the absolute core lesson of this entire book. A high income does not automatically equal high wealth. A low income does not automatically equal poverty. Your income is merely a tool. It is the raw material. What you build with that raw material is entirely up to your discipline, your patience, and your habits. You have been given a massive gift by hearing the story of Ronald Read. You now possess the secret that Wall Street does not want you to know. The secret is that ordinary hard-working people can build massive generational wealth without taking wild risks, without inventing the next great computer company, and without earning a massive six-figure salary. It is incredibly empowering to realize that the rules of wealth are simple and available to absolutely everyone. It does not matter if you are starting from zero today. It does not matter if you have made terrible financial mistakes in your past. You can draw a line in the sand right now. You can decide that starting today, you are going to adopt the mindset of the janitor millionaire. You're going to view every dollar as a seed. You're going to aggressively cut the wasteful spending from your life and find joy in simplicity. You are going to set up automated investments and buy massive, reliable index funds. You're going to completely ignore the panic of the media and the opinions of your broke friends. You are going to maintain your physical health through practical labor. And you are going to define a legacy that fills you with intense emotional drive. The road ahead is not going to be a fast sprint. It is going to be a long, steady marathon. There will be times when you feel bored. There will be times when the stock market crashes and your account balance drops temporarily, and you will feel fear. In those moments, I want you to close your eyes and picture Ronald Read. Picture him walking through the bitter cold snow of Vermont, wearing that old jacket with the safety pin. Picture him quietly sweeping the floor, knowing that he is secretly a multimillionaire. Draw strength from his incredible stoicism. Draw strength from his absolute mastery over his own ego. You have everything you need right now to become incredibly wealthy. The math is undeniable. The strategy is proven. The only variable left is your own execution. Take a deep breath. Stand up tall. Embrace the power of frugality, the miracle of compound interest, and the incredible freedom that comes from living life completely on your own terms. The journey of the frugal millionaire next door continues, and your life will never be the same again. Chapter 3. The Pay Yourself First Lifestyle. Imagine for a moment that you are the chief executive officer of a highly successful, highly profitable business. Your business produces a fantastic product, your customers are happy, and millions of dollars are flowing into your company bank accounts every single month. Now, imagine that at the end of the month, you take all of that revenue and you start paying everyone else first. You pay your suppliers, you pay your landlords, you pay the utility companies, you pay the advertising agencies, you pay the janitors, you pay absolutely everyone who sends you an invoice. Then, after everyone else in the city has grown richer from your hard work, you look at the tiny, pathetic amount of money left over in the company bank account, and you decide that this tiny amount is what you will use to grow your business next year. If you ran a business this way, your investors would fire you immediately. You would be considered a terrible chief executive officer. A successful business always prioritizes its own profit and its own growth above everything else. A successful business pays itself first. Yet, this exact scenario of paying everyone else first is exactly how 99% of the population manages their personal finances. Every time you receive a paycheck, you are receiving the revenue of your own personal business, the business of your life. But what do most people do on payday? They sit down at their kitchen table, or they open their laptop and they immediately begin sending their life energy to massive corporations. They send a large portion of their money to the massive banking corporation that holds their mortgage. They send another large portion to the massive automotive corporation that financed their car. They send money to the electric company, the water company, the telecommunications company, and the digital streaming companies. They pay everyone else first. They literally fund the extravagant lifestyles of corporate executives before they even think about their own future. Then, at the very end of the month, they look at their checking account. If there is a tiny sliver of money left over, they might think about transferring it to a savings account. But usually, an unexpected expense pops up, or they decide they deserve a reward for working so hard, and that tiny sliver of money vanishes at a restaurant or a shopping mall. They save absolutely nothing. They are running their personal business into the ground. The frugal millionaire next door operates on a completely reversed philosophy. They operate on a principle so powerful and so absolute that it guarantees financial success. That principle is called paying yourself first. When a self-made millionaire receives their income, they do not look at their bills. They do not look at their credit card statements. The very first transaction that occurs, before a single dollar is spent on anything else, is a massive transfer of wealth into their own investment accounts. They take their profit first. They treat their savings and their investments not as an afterthought, but as the single most important, uncompromising tax on their own income. Only after their future is completely funded do they turn their attention to paying the rest of the world. Extensive research into the daily habits of wealthy individuals proves this point. Researcher Tom Corley spent 5 years studying the daily activities of self-made millionaires. He categorized a massive group of them as saver millionaires. These were ordinary people who built massive wealth simply by saving and investing. His research revealed a staggering statistic. 94% of these self-made saver millionaires saved 20% or more of their entire income long before they ever became rich. They did not wait until they were making massive salaries to start saving 20%. They saved 20% when they were making $20,000 a year. They saved 20% when they were making $40,000 a year. They built the habit of paying themselves first when it was incredibly difficult to do so. They forced themselves to live on the remaining 80% of their income. This is not just a theory. This is a practical, mechanical system that you must implement in your life right now. We are going to break down exactly how you execute the pay yourself first lifestyle. We will not just talk about the idea. We will talk about the exact actionable steps you must take to build this impenetrable financial fortress. Step 1. You must completely restructure your banking architecture. Most people use a single checking account for absolutely everything. Their paycheck goes into this account, and all of their expenses come out of this same account. This is a recipe for disaster because it mixes your wealth with your everyday spending. When you log into your bank and see a large balance, your brain tricks you into thinking you are wealthy and can afford to buy things you do not need. You must separate your money immediately. You need to establish 3 completely distinct bank accounts. Let us call them the income account, the bills account, and the wealth account. Your income account is where your paycheck is deposited. Your bills account is strictly for your fixed living expenses, like your rent, your groceries, and your utilities. Your wealth account is your investment and savings account. Step 2. You must force a permanent wedge between your income and your spending. The day your paycheck hits your income account, you must execute the pay yourself first rule. Do not wait 2 days. Do not wait for the weekend. Set up an automated transfer so that the very morning you get paid, 20% of your gross income is instantly moved out of the income account and into your wealth account. This money is now completely off limits. You cannot touch it. You cannot use it to buy groceries. You cannot use it to go to a restaurant. It is gone. It has been deployed to the front lines of your financial future. Step 3. You must automate the remainder of your money. After your 20% is safely locked away in your wealth account, you take the exact amount of money you need for your basic survival bills and automatically transfer it to your bills account. Whatever tiny amount of money is left over in your original income account is your guilt-free spending money. That is the money you can use for entertainment, for a coffee, or for a new shirt. By structuring your banking this way, you remove all the willpower and all the decision-making from the process. You are guaranteed to build wealth every single month because the system forces you to. If you are listening to this right now and thinking that saving 20% of your income is completely impossible, do not panic. I understand that if you are currently living paycheck to paycheck, instantly cutting 20% of your spending feels like trying to run a marathon without training. If you cannot do 20% today, you must start with whatever you can. Start with 5%. Start with 10%. The mathematical percentage is far less important than the psychological habit of prioritizing yourself before anyone else. Prove to your brain that you are capable of saving something. Then every time you get a raise at work, or every time you pay off a debt, increase that percentage until you hit the 20% goal. Now let us tackle the single biggest obstacle to paying yourself first. The absolute monster that consumes most of your paycheck, your housing costs. In Chapter 1, we briefly touched on the danger of becoming house poor. Now we are going to dive deeply into the actionable mechanics of mastering your living expenses. You cannot save 20% of your income if your housing costs are eating 50% of your paycheck. It is mathematically impossible. Therefore, the frugal millionaire next door ruthlessly follows the 25% housing rule. The rule is very simple but incredibly hard for most people to accept. You must never spend more than 25% of your total monthly take-home pay on your housing. This 25% includes your rent or your mortgage payment, your property taxes, your home insurance, and your basic utility bills. If your take-home pay is $4,000 a month, your absolute maximum housing budget is $1,000 a month. Not a penny more. If you walk into a bank and ask for a mortgage, the banker will look at your $4,000 income and happily tell you that you can afford a mortgage of $2,000 a month. They will tell you that you are approved for a massive loan. Do not listen to the banker. The banker is not your friend. The banker is a salesperson whose entire job is to sell you the largest debt product you will accept. The bank wants you to be trapped in a massive mortgage because that guarantees they will collect massive interest payments from you for the next 30 years. The bank does not care if you can afford to save for retirement. The bank does not care if you have money left over to feed your family. They only care about their own profits. When you follow the bank's advice and spend 50% of your income on housing, you become an indentured servant to your own home. Your beautiful house becomes a beautiful prison. You wake up every morning exhausted, knowing you have to go to work just to pay for the roof over your head. The self-made millionaire rejects this trap entirely. Statistics show that 64% of true millionaires live in modest, unremarkable middle-class homes. They do not live in gated communities. They live in neighborhoods where teachers, plumbers, and firefighters live. They intentionally choose homes that are dramatically below their maximum approval limit. How do you execute the 25% housing rule if you are currently drowning in a massive rent or mortgage payment? This requires intense, aggressive action. You must treat a housing crisis as a true financial emergency. Step 4. If you are renting an apartment that costs 40% of your income, you must formulate an immediate exit strategy. Start looking for apartments in different neighborhoods. You might have to move 20 minutes further away from the city center. You might have to accept an apartment that does not have a fancy swimming pool or a brand new kitchen. You must drop your ego. A fancy kitchen counter will not comfort you when you are broke and terrified of the future. Moving is incredibly stressful, but it is a temporary pain that results in permanent financial relief. When you cut your rent from $1,500 to $1,000, you have just given yourself a $500 raise every single month, completely tax-free. That $500 flows directly into your wealth account. Step 5. Consider the massive financial power of roommates. Our society places a huge premium on living completely alone. We view it as a sign of independence and success, but living alone is the absolute most expensive way to exist. If you are young, or if you are single and aggressively trying to build wealth, getting a roommate is the ultimate financial cheat code. When you split a 2-bedroom apartment with another person, you do not just cut your rent in half. You cut your electric bill in half. You cut your internet bill in half. You cut your heating bill in half. You can literally save thousands of dollars a year simply by sharing a living space. Put your ego aside. Find a responsible person to share the costs and use that massive extra margin to aggressively fund your investments. Step 6. If you own a home that is destroying your ability to save, you must seriously consider the strategy of house hacking. House hacking is a powerful tool used by thousands of aspiring millionaires. If you have an extra bedroom, you rent it out. If you have a finished basement with a separate entrance, you turn it into a small apartment and rent it out. You use the income from your tenants to completely cover your mortgage payment. Imagine living in your house for completely free because someone else is paying the bank for you. This strategy requires work, it requires dealing with people, but the financial reward is absolutely staggering. It completely eliminates your largest monthly expense and turbocharges your path to immense wealth. Once you have conquered your housing costs and secured your 20% savings rate, you must turn your attention to the second biggest destroyer of wealth, everyday consumption. Specifically, the food you eat and the items you buy for your daily life. The frugal millionaire next door masters the art of everyday frugality. They do not view saving money at the grocery store as a chore. They view it as a highly strategic game. They take immense pleasure in keeping their money away from massive retail corporations. Let us examine the grocery store. The modern supermarket is not just a place that sells food. It is a highly engineered psychological trap designed to extract the maximum amount of money from your wallet. Every single detail of a grocery store is planned by brilliant psychologists. The essential items like milk and eggs are placed at the absolute furthest corners of the store. Why? Because they force you to walk past thousands of brightly colored, highly processed, heavily marketed products just to get your basic necessities. They pump the smell of fresh baked bread through the ventilation system to make you hungry. They play slow, relaxing music to make you walk slower and spend more time looking at the shelves. The average family wastes an incredible amount of money inside these psychological traps. They walk in without a plan, they grab whatever looks good, and they end up throwing away 20% of the food they buy because it goes bad before they can eat it. Step 7. You must become a ruthless, completely intentional grocery shopper. You must absolutely never walk into a grocery store without a written plan. Every Sunday, you must sit down for 20 minutes and plan exactly what you are going to eat for every single meal that week. Look at the ingredients you already have in your kitchen and build your meals around them. Then, write a strict, uncompromising grocery list. When you walk into the store, you are on a military mission. You are there to execute the list and nothing else. If an item is not on your physical piece of paper, it does not go into your cart. No exceptions. Step 8. Master the perimeter rule. The healthiest and cheapest foods in a grocery store are almost always located on the outside perimeter of the building. The fresh vegetables, the fruits, the meats, and the dairy products line the walls. The center aisles are the danger zones. The center aisles are where the highly processed, incredibly expensive, brightly packaged junk food is located. You are paying a massive premium for a company to process the food, put it in a cardboard box, and print a cartoon character on the front. Spend 90% of your time on the outside edges of the store. Buy whole ingredients. Buy a bag of raw rice instead of a microwavable plastic pouch of pre-cooked rice. Buy a whole chicken and learn to roast it yourself instead of buying an expensive pre-cooked meal. Cooking from scratch is not only massively cheaper, but it is infinitely healthier for your physical body. Step 9. Completely ignore brand names. We have been brainwashed by billions of dollars in advertising to believe that a famous brand of oats is somehow vastly superior to the store brand of oats. This is almost entirely a lie. In many cases, the exact same factory produces the famous brand and the generic store brand. They just put a different label on the package and charge you 40% more for the famous logo. The millionaire next door laughs at this. They buy the generic brand. They buy the store brand of flour, sugar, salt, and canned vegetables. Stop paying a premium just to have a famous logo sitting unseen inside your kitchen cabinets. Let us expand on this concept of everyday frugality beyond the kitchen. Let us talk about the incredible power of the second-hand economy. There is a very persistent myth that wealthy people only buy brand new, premium items. The reality is quite the opposite. Research indicates that a surprising 8% of self-made millionaires regularly shop at Goodwill and other thrift stores. Almost 40% of them actively use discount coupons when they shop. Why would someone with $1 million in the bank waste their time clipping a coupon or digging through a rack of used coats? Because they understand the fundamental value of money. They know that $1 saved is exactly the same as $1 earned. Actually, $1 saved is worth significantly more than $1 earned, because you do not have to pay income tax on the money you save. Our society is currently obsessed with hyper-consumerism. People buy brand new items, use them once or twice, and then discard them. Because of this, the world is absolutely flooded with perfectly good, high-quality, gently used items that are being sold for pennies on the dollar. Step 10. You must reprogram your brain to view second-hand shopping not as a sign of poverty, but as a sign of absolute financial genius. Before you ever buy anything brand new, You must force yourself to check the second-hand market. If you need a new lawnmower, do not go to the massive hardware store and spend $400. Go online to a local community marketplace. You will absolutely find someone who bought a top-of-the-line lawnmower, used it 3 times, decided to hire a landscaping company instead, and is now selling the machine for $100 just to get it out of their garage. This principle applies to almost everything in your life. Furniture is a massive trap. People go into massive debt to buy brand new couches and dining tables from luxury showrooms. The absolute second that furniture is delivered to their house, it loses half of its value. You can find incredible solid wood, vintage furniture at thrift stores or estate sales for a microscopic fraction of the original cost. With a little bit of sandpaper and some fresh paint, you can restore a piece of furniture to look better than anything you could buy in a modern store. When you buy high-quality used items, you are completely bypassing the massive markup charged by retail stores. You are keeping your money in your pocket. You are participating in a sustainable economy. And most importantly, you are starving the massive corporations that rely on your continuous, mindless consumption to survive. Let us move to another massive drain on the modern paycheck. Entertainment. We live in an incredibly fast-paced, highly stressful world. When the weekend arrives, people are absolutely exhausted. They feel like they deserve to have fun. They feel like they need to reward themselves for surviving another week at the office. The problem is that society has completely linked the concept of having fun with the concept of spending massive amounts of money. A typical weekend for a broke person looks like this. On Friday night, they go out to a crowded restaurant and spend $80 on food and drinks. On Saturday, they go to a massive shopping mall to walk around, and they inevitably end up buying clothes they do not need simply because they are bored. Saturday night, they go to a movie theater, spend $40 on tickets, and another $30 on heavily overpriced popcorn and sugar water. On Sunday, they pay $50 for tickets to an amusement park or a sporting event. By the end of the weekend, they have blown through $300 simply trying to escape the reality of their own lives. The frugal millionaire next door takes a radically different approach to entertainment. They understand that the best things in life, the things that bring the deepest joy and the most profound peace, are almost entirely free. They understand that paying massive corporations to entertain them is a terrible return on investment. Step 11. You must completely redefine what it means to have fun. You must actively seek out high-quality, zero-cost entertainment. Your local community is likely overflowing with free resources that you have simply never bothered to look for. Let us start with the single greatest resource in any town, the public library. Most people stop going to the library the day they graduate from school. This is a massive tragedy. Your local library is a palace of completely free entertainment. You can borrow hundreds of books, from thrilling fiction to deep historical biographies. You can borrow digital audiobooks. You can borrow movies and documentaries. Many libraries even lend out board games, video games, and tools. You could spend every single weekend for the rest of your life at the library and never run out of incredible things to consume, and it will never cost you a single penny. Step 12. Reconnect with the physical world. Instead of spending your Saturday wandering around a depressing shopping mall looking at things you cannot afford, go outside. Find a local state park or a nature trail. Pack a simple lunch made from your carefully planned grocery trip. Take your family or your friends and spend the entire day hiking, exploring the woods, and breathing fresh air. Physical exercise in nature has been scientifically proven to dramatically reduce stress and anxiety. It completely resets your mind. A day spent hiking in the woods will leave you feeling profoundly more refreshed and energized than a day spent sitting in a dark, expensive movie theater. Step 13. Master the art of hosting rather than going out. Instead of meeting your friends at an expensive, loud restaurant where you can barely hear each other talk over the music, invite them to your home. Host a potluck dinner where everyone brings one simple, inexpensive dish to share. Play board games. Have deep, meaningful conversations. Buy a cheap deck of cards and learn how to play poker using pennies. The true joy of spending time with your friends comes from the human connection, not from the expensive atmosphere of a fancy restaurant. By shifting your social life from public consumption spaces to your private home, you will save thousands of dollars a year while actually strengthening your relationships. We must also talk about the psychology of impulse control. The pay-yourself-first lifestyle requires an absolute mastery over your sudden urges to spend money. The entire modern world is a minefield designed to break your willpower. Your smartphone constantly tracks your searches and serves you highly targeted advertisements for things it knows you want. Influencers on social media are paid massive amounts of money to convince you that your life is inadequate unless you buy the products they are promoting. Step 14. You must build massive friction between your impulses and your money. Friction is your best friend when it comes to saving wealth. In the past, if you wanted to buy something, you had to physically drive to a store, walk inside, find the item, and hand over physical cash. That required effort. That was friction. Today you can buy a $500 television while sitting on your toilet with one simple tap of your finger. There is absolutely zero friction. You must intentionally put the friction back into your life. Go to every single digital shopping application on your phone and your computer. Delete all of your saved credit card information. Every single one. Make it so that if you want to buy something online, you are forced to physically stand up, walk to the other room, find your wallet, pull out your credit card, and manually type all 16 numbers into the computer. This simple act of introducing physical effort creates a crucial pause. In the 2 minutes it takes to find your wallet, your logical brain has a chance to wake up and ask, do I really need this plastic junk, or am I just bored? 9 times out of 10, you will put the wallet back down and walk away. Step 15. Unsubscribe from the madness. Go to your email inbox right now. Look at all the promotional emails from clothing stores, hardware stores, and travel agencies. Every single one of those emails is a digital trap waiting to catch you in a weak moment. When you are having a terrible day at work and you feel miserable, an email offering 40% off a vacation is almost impossible to resist. Remove the temptation entirely. Spend 30 minutes aggressively unsubscribing from every single corporate email list you are on. Unfollow the influencers who make you feel inadequate. Cleanse your digital environment so that you are no longer constantly bombarded by requests for your money. Let us reflect deeply on what we have covered in this chapter. The transition from being a consumer to being a producer of wealth is not just a mathematical formula. It is a profound shift in your identity. When you pay yourself first, you are making a massive declaration to the universe. You are saying that your future, your freedom, and your peace of mind are infinitely more important than any physical object you could possibly buy today. You are stating that you refuse to be a willing participant in a system designed to keep you broke and exhausted. Imagine how different your life will feel just 12 months from now if you rigorously apply these steps. Imagine logging into your bank account and seeing that your wealth account, the account you never touch, has grown into a massive pile of money. Imagine the incredible sense of security that washes over you when you realize you have enough money saved to completely replace your income for 6 months. Imagine waking up in the morning and knowing that if your car breaks down or your roof leaks or you lose your job, it is completely fine. It is just a minor inconvenience, not a life-destroying crisis. This level of absolute freedom is available to you. It does not matter what your income is right now. It does not matter how many mistakes you have made in the past. You have the power to draw a line in the sand today. You have the power to walk into your kitchen, write a grocery list, and stick to it. You have the power to cancel the digital subscriptions you never use. You have the power to suggest a hike in the woods instead of an expensive dinner with your friends. You have the incredible absolute power to pay yourself first. Building wealth is not about deprivation. It is not about living a miserable, boring life where you never do anything fun. It is about total optimization. It is about cutting out the wasteful, meaningless spending that adds absolutely zero value to your life, so you can aggressively fund the things that actually matter. It is about delaying instant gratification today, so you can experience permanent, unbreakable financial freedom tomorrow. You are a warrior of wealth. Every dollar you save is a soldier you are sending into battle for your future. Protect your soldiers. Stop handing them over to massive corporations. Keep them in your own fortress. Automate your savings. Crush your housing costs. Master the grocery store. Embrace the thrill of the second-hand economy. Find joy in the simple, free experiences of life. The path of the frugal millionaire next door is incredibly clear. It is paved with discipline, intentionality, and a ruthless commitment to paying yourself first. The heavy lifting of changing your mindset has already begun. The actionable tools are now in your hands. It is time to execute the plan and watch your entire financial reality transform before your very eyes. Let us push forward with unstoppable momentum. The journey to absolute freedom continues. Chapter 4. Defeating Lifestyle Creep. We have arrived at one of the most dangerous and deceptive traps in the entire financial world. It is a trap so subtle and so universally accepted by society that most people do not even realize they have fallen into it until it is far too late. It is the primary reason why doctors, lawyers, and high-level corporate executives can earn $500,000 a year and still find themselves completely broke, stressed out, and living paycheck to paycheck. This invisible thief of wealth is called lifestyle creep. To understand lifestyle creep, we must first look at the psychological effect of making more money. When you work incredibly hard for years, when you study late into the night, when you finally get that promotion or secure that massive new client, your brain releases a massive flood of dopamine. You feel an intense sense of pride and accomplishment. You feel victorious. And almost immediately, a single, incredibly dangerous thought enters your mind. The thought is very simple. I deserve a reward. Society completely supports this thought. Your friends will tell you that you must celebrate. Your family will tell you that you have earned the right to treat yourself. And so, the subtle upgrading begins. It rarely starts with a massive, life-changing purchase. It starts with small, almost unnoticeable changes. Because you are making more money, you decide you no longer need to drink the free coffee at the office. You start stopping at the expensive coffee shop every single morning. Because you are making more money, you decide you no longer need to pack a lunch. You start going to expensive restaurants with your co-workers every afternoon. Then, the upgrades become larger. You look at your perfectly functional, reliable 5-year-old car, and suddenly it feels inadequate. You tell yourself that a person with your new impressive job title should not be driving an old car. So you go to the dealership and sign a massive lease for a brand new luxury vehicle. Now you have a huge monthly car payment, and your insurance costs have doubled. Next, you look at your apartment. It suddenly feels too small. You decide you need to move to a luxury building closer to the city center, a building with a massive swimming pool and a fitness center. Now your rent has doubled. Within 6 months of getting a massive raise, your entire financial life has changed. You are bringing home $2,000 more every single month, but your new car, your new apartment, and your new expensive daily habits are costing you $2,500 more a month. You have successfully climbed the corporate ladder. You are working longer and more stressful hours, and somehow, mathematically, you are actually poorer than you were before the promotion. This is the devastating reality of lifestyle creep. It is a treadmill that constantly accelerates. Every time you run faster to earn more money, the treadmill speeds up to consume all of your new wealth. You are exhausting yourself, but you are never actually moving forward. You are never building a financial fortress. You are simply building a more expensive prison. Let us look at a practical example to truly understand the devastating power of lifestyle creep. Imagine 2 co-workers named David and Michael. Both men are 30 years old. Both men work at the exact same company. Both men currently earn $50,000 a year. They both live in modest apartments and drive older, reliable cars. After a fantastic year of hard work, the company calls both David and Michael into the office and gives them both a massive promotion. Their salaries are instantly increased from $50,000 to $70,000 a year. After taxes, this means they each have about $1,200 of extra cash in their bank accounts every single month. David falls instantly into the trap of lifestyle creep. He leaves the office, calls his friends, and takes them out for a massive, expensive dinner to celebrate. The very next weekend, he goes to a luxury car dealership. He trades in his reliable old car and buys a highly expensive sports car. His new car payment is $600 a month. Because it is a sports car, his insurance goes up by $100 a month, and he has to buy premium gasoline, which costs him another $100 a month. That is $800 of his new raise completely gone. With his remaining $400 of extra money, David decides he needs a new wardrobe to match his new car and his new job title. He buys expensive designer suits, expensive watches, and expensive shoes. Within 2 months, David has completely absorbed his entire raise into his daily lifestyle. He feels rich. He looks incredibly wealthy to anyone walking down the street, but his savings account is completely empty. If he loses his job, he will be in complete financial ruin within 30 days because his new, highly expensive lifestyle demands massive amounts of cash just to survive. Now let us look at Michael. Michael understands the philosophy of the frugal millionaire next door. When Michael gets his raise, he does not go to a car dealership. He drives his reliable old car back to his modest apartment. He sits down at his computer, logs into his banking architecture, and makes one single, incredibly powerful change. He takes the entire $1,200 of extra monthly income, and he sets up an automatic transfer directly into his wealth account. He routes all of his new money directly into massive, reliable index funds. Michael completely freezes his lifestyle. He continues to live exactly as if he is still making $50,000 a year. He continues to pack his lunch. He continues to wear his perfectly fine clothes. From the outside, Michael looks like an ordinary, average guy. His co-workers might even feel sorry for him, wondering why he has not upgraded his life after such a big promotion. Let us fast forward 10 years. Both men are now 40 years old. David has spent the last 10 years trapped on the hedonic treadmill. He has had to continually work brutal hours just to make his massive car payments and pay for his expensive lifestyle. He is deeply stressed. He lies awake at night worrying about the economy and his job security. He has almost zero true wealth. Michael, on the other hand, has been secretly and quietly investing that extra $1,200 every single month for 10 solid years. Because he invested the money in the broad stock market and allowed the power of compound interest to work its absolute magic, his investment account has grown to a staggering amount. Over 10 years, he invested $144,000 of his own cash. But because of the massive growth of the market and the reinvestment of his dividends, his account balance is now approaching $250,000. Michael is 40 years old, and he has $250,000 sitting completely liquid in his wealth account. He sleeps like a baby every single night. He is not stressed at work because he knows that if his boss yells at him or if the company goes bankrupt, he has enough cash to survive for 10 years without even breaking a sweat. Michael has used his raise to buy the ultimate luxury in the universe. He has bought his absolute freedom. How do you become Michael? How do you actively defeat the very natural human urge to upgrade your life when you get more money? You must follow a strict set of actionable steps designed to protect your wealth from your own ego. Step 1. You must implement the 6-month lifestyle freeze protocol. Whenever you receive a raise, a promotion, or a new job with a higher salary, you must make an absolute vow to yourself that you will not change a single thing about your lifestyle for exactly 6 months. Do not move. Do not buy a car. Do not start shopping at more expensive grocery stores. You must force your brain to get used to the higher income without allowing your physical lifestyle to absorb it. During these 6 months, all of the extra money must flow directly into your savings or your investment accounts. This waiting period is crucial. It acts as a massive shock absorber. It prevents you from making highly emotional, highly expensive decisions in the heat of the moment. By the time the 6 months are over, the initial rush of excitement will have completely faded. Your logical brain will be back in control. When you look at your bank account and see a massive pile of new cash sitting there, you will realize how incredibly powerful it feels to hold on to your wealth. You will no longer want to trade that deep sense of security for a depreciating car or a bigger apartment. Step 2. You must master the automatic escalator. In Chapter 3, we discuss setting up an automatic transfer to pay yourself first. When you defeat lifestyle creep, you must aggressively escalate this automatic transfer the absolute second your income increases. If human intervention is required to save the extra money, you will fail. You will find an excuse to spend it. The very day your manager tells you that you are getting a raise, you must calculate exactly how much extra money will be in your next paycheck after taxes. If your paycheck is going to be $300 larger, you must log into your bank that exact same day and increase your automatic investment transfer by $300. You must hide the money from yourself before you ever even see it. If the money never lands in your checking account, your brain cannot figure out a way to spend it. You continue living your exact same life, but behind the scenes, your wealth-building engine has just received a massive injection of fuel. Step 3. You must completely neutralize the bonus black hole. Throughout your career, you will occasionally receive massive windfalls of cash. This might be an annual performance bonus at work. It might be a large tax refund from the government. It might be an unexpected inheritance or a gift. Most people treat windfalls as free money. Because they did not expect it in their regular monthly budget, they feel zero guilt about blowing it entirely on useless luxury items. They take a $5,000 tax refund and spend it on a massive television and a luxury vacation. 2 weeks later, the vacation is a memory. The television is just another screen on the wall, and the $5,000 is gone forever. This is a massive tragedy. Windfalls are the ultimate accelerator for your financial independence. You must establish the strict 90-10 windfall rule. This rule completely satisfies your human desire to celebrate while aggressively protecting your future. The rule is very simple. Whenever you receive a windfall of cash, you are allowed to take exactly 10% of that money and spend it on absolutely anything you want. You can go to a fancy restaurant. You can buy a new pair of shoes. You can throw a party. You take that 10% and you enjoy it completely guilt-free. But the remaining 90% must be instantly and ruthlessly transferred into your wealth account. It must be invested immediately. If you get a $10,000 bonus at work, you take $1,000 to celebrate and you send $9,000 to your invisible army of investments. This rule provides incredible psychological balance. You do not feel deprived because you get to enjoy a tangible reward. But you also do not destroy your financial future because the vast majority of the money goes straight to building your empire. Now we must address a very common misunderstanding about the frugal millionaire lifestyle. Many people believe that defeating lifestyle creep means you must live like a miserable miser. They think it means you must buy the cheapest, lowest quality garbage available just to save a few pennies. This is a complete myth. In fact, buying cheap garbage is one of the fastest ways to destroy your wealth. To truly master your money, you must completely understand the critical difference between being frugal and being cheap. The frugal millionaire next door is not cheap. They are highly strategic. They understand the massive danger of the false economy of cheap goods. Let us look at a famous economic concept often called the boots theory of socio-economic unfairness. Imagine a man who works outdoors in the harsh winter. He needs a pair of warm, waterproof work boots. He has two options. He can buy a very cheap pair of boots for $50, or he can buy a very high-quality, expertly crafted pair of boots for $200. If he is cheap, he buys the $50 boots. Because they are made of thin, terrible materials, they do not keep his feet warm. Water leaks in through the poor stitching. After one single winter of hard work, the boots completely fall apart. The soles detach and the leather tears. The next winter he has to go back to the store and buy another pair of $50 boots. If he does this for 10 years, he will have purchased 10 pairs of terrible boots. He will have spent $500 and his feet will have been cold and miserable for a massive entire decade. Now, look at the frugal millionaire. The frugal millionaire looks at the cheap boots and immediately recognizes them as a terrible financial investment. The frugal millionaire saves their money and buys the high-quality $200 pair of boots. Because these boots are made of premium leather and stitched by experts, they are incredibly warm and completely waterproof. With a little bit of basic maintenance and cleaning, these boots last for an entire 10 years. Over the decade, the frugal millionaire spent $200, and his feet were perfectly warm and comfortable the entire time. The cheap man spent $500 and suffered. The cheap man spent more than double the amount of money, simply because he was unwilling to invest in quality. This concept applies to almost everything in your physical life. Being frugal means buying the absolute highest quality item you can afford, and then keeping it for as long as physically possible. Step 4. You must ruthlessly calculate the cost per use before you ever make a significant purchase. This is the mathematical formula used by the wealthy to justify spending money. You do not look at the initial price tag. You look at the price tag divided by the number of times you will actually use the item over its lifetime. Let us use a kitchen appliance as an example. You love cooking rice, and you eat it 4 times a week. You can buy a cheap plastic rice cooker at the supermarket for $20. It will likely burn the bottom of the rice, it is difficult to clean, and the heating element will probably die in 6 months. Or, you can spend $150 on a premium, highly rated, professional quality rice cooker made by a reputable brand. If you use the premium cooker 4 times a week for 10 years, you will use it over 2,000 times. $150 divided by 2,000 uses equals roughly 7 cents per use. You are paying 7 cents every time you make a perfect, delicious, flawless batch of food in a machine that is a joy to use. That is an incredible bargain. The cheap machine, which breaks after 50 uses, costs 40 cents per use, ruins your food, and causes you massive frustration. The true secret of wealth is surrounding yourself with a few highly durable, high-quality items that bring you joy and last for decades, rather than a massive mountain of cheap plastic junk that constantly breaks and needs to be replaced. Where should you spend your money? What are the items where the frugal millionaire next door absolutely refuses to be cheap? There is a very old and very wise saying regarding where you should place your investments. You must always spend good money on the things that separate you from the ground. This means you never ever compromise on the quality of your mattress, your shoes, and your tires. Let us discuss your mattress. You will spend 1/3 of your entire life sleeping. The quality of your sleep dictates the quality of your waking hours. If you sleep on a cheap, sagging mattress, you will wake up with terrible back pain. You will be exhausted. Your brain will not function properly. Your decision-making abilities will be destroyed. This lack of sleep will directly impact your ability to perform at your job and earn income. The frugal millionaire will drive a 10-year-old car with roll-down windows, but they will sleep on a $2,000, top-of-the-line, scientifically engineered mattress. If that mattress lasts 10 years, the cost is roughly 50 cents a night. 50 cents a night for deep, restorative, health-generating sleep is the greatest financial bargain on the planet. Never be cheap when it comes to your physical health. The same applies to the tires on your car. You can save $50 by buying cheap off-brand incredibly hard tires. But when you're driving on the highway in a massive rainstorm and a truck pulls out in front of you, the quality of your tires is the only thing standing between you and a fatal accident. High-quality tires stop faster. They grip the road better. They protect your life and the lives of your family. The frugal millionaire saves massive amounts of money by buying a used car, but they immediately put the absolute highest quality tires on that car. That is the difference between a wealthy mindset and a cheap mindset. You save money on status, but you spend heavily on safety and utility. Now let us turn our attention to the internal psychological battle. Why do we suffer from lifestyle creep? Why do we suddenly feel the urge to buy stupid things we do not need? We must talk about the profound concept of decision fatigue. Imagine that your brain contains a physical battery, very similar to the battery inside your smartphone. When you wake up in the morning, assuming you have slept on a high-quality mattress, your brain battery is at 100%. You are full of energy, logic, and willpower. However, every single decision you make throughout the day drains a tiny bit of that battery. Deciding what clothes to wear drains it. Navigating through heavy morning traffic drains it. Dealing with a difficult client at work drains a massive amount of it. Deciding what to eat for lunch drains it. Sitting in pointless corporate meetings drains it completely. By the time you get home from work at 6 o'clock in the evening, your decision battery is completely empty. It is at 2%. You have absolutely no willpower left. Your logical brain is completely shut down, and your primitive emotional brain has taken over. Your primitive brain just wants comfort. It wants a quick hit of dopamine to make you feel better after a stressful day. This is the exact moment of maximum financial danger. This is the moment when you sit on your couch, open your laptop, and start browsing online shopping websites. The massive retail corporations know all about decision fatigue. They design their websites to be incredibly easy to use. They show you bright pictures of beautiful things. They tell you that you deserve a treat. And because your willpower battery is completely dead, you click the purchase button without a second thought. You buy a sweater you do not need. You buy a kitchen gadget you will never use. You order $30 worth of overpriced food delivery because you are too tired to cook. Millions of dollars of wealth are destroyed every single night, between the hours of 7 o'clock and midnight, simply because people are too exhausted to say no. Step 5. You must institute the morning purchase rule. This is a massive upgrade to the 24-hour rule we discussed in Chapter 1. It specifically combats the danger of decision fatigue. The rule is absolute. You are completely forbidden from making any non-essential online purchases after the sun goes down. If you are sitting on your couch at 8 o'clock at night and you see a beautiful watch or a new piece of technology that you desperately want, you are allowed to put it in your digital shopping cart. But you are strictly forbidden from completing the checkout process. You must close the laptop and go to sleep. You must wait until the next morning. When you wake up, your decision battery is recharged back to 100%. You have your coffee. You are thinking clearly and logically. Now open the laptop and look at the shopping cart again. I guarantee you that 9 times out of 10 your fully charged logical brain will look at the item in the cart and laugh. You will realize that the item is a complete waste of money. You will realize you only wanted it because you were tired and stressed the night before. You will hit the delete button, close the laptop, and walk out the door with your money safely protected in your bank account. This one single habit will save you thousands of dollars a year by acting as a firewall against your own exhausted brain. We must also deeply understand the concept of the hedonic treadmill. Hedonic adaptation is a fundamental scientific truth about human psychology. Human beings are incredibly adaptable creatures. This is a great trait for surviving in the harsh wilderness, but it is a terrible trait for managing your finances. The concept states that humans will quickly adapt to any new level of comfort or luxury, and that new luxury will rapidly become their new, boring baseline. Think about air conditioning. 100 years ago, air conditioning did not exist. People were hot, but they survived. Then it was invented. At first, having an air-conditioned house was the ultimate luxury. Only the incredibly rich had it. It felt like a massive miracle to walk into a cool house on a blazing hot day. But today, air conditioning is simply an expectation. If you walk into a house and the air conditioning is broken, you do not feel neutral. You feel incredibly angry and uncomfortable. What was once a supreme luxury is now a basic requirement just to maintain your baseline level of happiness. The exact same scientific principle applies to everything you buy during lifestyle creep. When you upgrade from a $20,000 car to a $60,000 luxury car, the first week is incredible. The leather smells amazing. The sound system is incredible. The acceleration is thrilling. You feel like a king. But hedonic adaptation is relentless. By the second month, the new car smell is gone. You do not even hear the premium sound system anymore. The incredible acceleration just feels normal. By the 6th month, the luxury car is just a machine that takes you to the grocery store and sits in traffic. It brings you absolutely zero extra joy compared to your old car. But you are still stuck paying the massive $600 monthly payment for the next 5 years. You ran faster on the treadmill. You bought the expensive thing. But your happiness levels returned exactly to where they were before you bought it. To defeat the hedonic treadmill, you must realize that buying more expensive things will never provide permanent happiness. It is a psychological impossibility. The only way to win the game is to step completely off the treadmill. You must stop trying to buy happiness with upgraded consumer goods. Step 6. You must practice aggressive gratitude for what you already possess. Gratitude is the absolute antidote to consumerism. The marketing industry spends billions of dollars every year to make you feel inadequate. They want you to focus entirely on the things you do not have. They want you to look at your perfectly good house and feel ashamed because it does not have granite countertops. They want you to look at your perfectly fine clothes and feel embarrassed because they are not the latest season's style. You must fight back against this brainwashing by intentionally focusing on what you already own. Take a moment every single day to look around your life. Look at the car sitting in your driveway. It might be 10 years old, it might have a scratch on the door, but it starts every single morning. It provides you with incredible freedom of movement. It protects you from the rain. Millions of people in the world would view your used car as an absolute miracle of luxury. Look at your apartment. It might be small, but it has clean running water. It has electricity. It has a refrigerator that keeps your food safe. You live with a level of convenience and safety that ancient kings and emperors could not even imagine. When you force your brain to appreciate the massive abundance that already exists in your life, the desperate urge to constantly upgrade completely vanishes. You realize you already have everything you need. You become bulletproof to advertising. Finally, we must talk about the massive challenge of social pressure. As you defeat lifestyle creep and begin to aggressively build your wealth, you will notice something very strange happening. The people around you will begin to behave differently. As your income grows, you will likely be surrounded by other high-income earners. You will be surrounded by co-workers and friends who are actively participating in lifestyle creep. They will be buying the huge houses, they will be leasing the expensive cars, and they will expect you to do the exact same thing. They will invite you to dinner at restaurants where a single steak costs $80. They will suggest taking expensive group vacations to luxury resorts. When you politely decline, or when you pull up to the restaurant in your 10-year-old car, they will look at you with confusion. Some of them might even make subtle jokes about you being cheap. They will try to pull you onto the treadmill with them. They do this because your frugal behavior makes them subconsciously uncomfortable. Your discipline forces them to look at their own massive debt and their own lack of control. Step 7. You must master the script of polite decline. You do not owe anyone an explanation of your financial goals. You do not need to show them your massive investment accounts to prove that you are not actually poor. You simply need to set a boundary with grace and confidence. When a co-worker invites you to a wildly expensive lunch, you do not need to give them a lecture on compound interest. You simply smile and say, "Thank you so much for the invitation, but I am actually focusing on some big financial goals right now. So I brought my lunch today. Have a great time." If your friends want to go to an expensive bar where drinks cost $20 each, you smile and say, "I cannot make it tonight, but I would love to host you all at my house this weekend for a barbecue." You offer alternatives. You take control of the social interaction. If they truly value your friendship and your company, they will happily come to your house for a barbecue. They will happily join you for a hike in the park instead of a round of incredibly expensive golf. But if they slowly stop calling you, if they only want to spend time with you when you are spending massive amounts of money, then you have just learned a very valuable lesson. They were never actually your friends. They were just spending companions. Losing them is not a tragedy, it is a necessary cleansing of your social circle. As you walk the path of the frugal millionaire, you must surround yourself with people who respect your discipline. You must build a circle of influence that values ideas, growth, and genuine connection over expensive status symbols. Defeating lifestyle creep is not a one-time event. It is a continuous, lifelong battle against your own human nature and the intense pressure of society. Every time you get a raise, the temptation will return. Every time you receive a bonus, the dopamine will flood your brain, and the urge to spend will rise. But you are now armed with the tools to completely crush that temptation. You have the 6-month freeze. You have the automatic escalator. You know the vital difference between high quality and cheap garbage. You calculate the cost per use. You protect your brain battery by never shopping at night. You understand the absolute futility of the hedonic treadmill. And you practice daily aggressive gratitude. You are building a fortress of wealth that no economic downturn, no corporate layoff, and no global crisis can easily destroy. While the people around you are exhausting themselves trying to look rich, you are quietly, steadily, and unstoppably becoming rich. You are taking your hard-earned money and turning it into an invisible army that will fight for your freedom for the rest of your life. Guard your income fiercely. Reject the upgrades that add absolutely no real value to your soul. Embrace the quiet, immense power of living below your means, and watch as your entire reality transforms from a life of financial stress into a life of absolute, unbreakable financial peace. Chapter 5. Making Your Money Invisible. We have reached the final and most powerful phase of your financial transformation. In the previous chapters, we completely destroyed the myth of the flashy millionaire. We proved that ordinary people with ordinary incomes can build massive fortunes simply by being disciplined and patient. We built a rock-solid banking architecture to ensure that you always pay yourself first. And we learned exactly how to defend your growing wealth from the massive everyday danger of lifestyle creep. You now have a system that is actively capturing your hard-earned money and protecting it from being wasted on meaningless consumer goods. But saving your money is only half of the equation. If you simply take all of the money you save and bury it in a hole in your backyard, or if you leave it sitting in a basic checking account at your local bank, you will never become truly wealthy. In fact, if you just leave your money sitting in a bank account, you're actually losing wealth every single day. This is because of a silent, invisible force called inflation. Inflation is the economic reality that the cost of living always goes up over time. Groceries get more expensive. Gasoline gets more expensive. Housing gets more expensive. If your money is not actively growing faster than the rate of inflation, your purchasing power is slowly bleeding to death. To achieve the absolute unbreakable financial freedom of the millionaire next door, you must transition your mind from being a pure saver to being a master allocator of capital. You must change your relationship with money from seeing it as something you simply hold to seeing it as something that works for you. I want you to imagine that every single dollar bill you save is a highly skilled, incredibly dedicated employee. This employee is absolutely perfect. This employee never needs to sleep. This employee never takes a vacation. This employee never complains about working long hours. And this employee never asks for a raise. This employee is willing to work for you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year for the rest of your life. Your entire goal as a wealth builder is to gather as many of these perfect employees as possible and send them out into the world to work. When you send your money out to work, it earns a profit. It creates new dollars. It recruits more employees to join your massive invisible army. This is the exact mechanism of true wealth. The wealthy do not work for their money. They force their money to work for them. The strategy that self-made millionaires use to manage this massive army of money is called invisible wealth. They make their money completely invisible to themselves. They understand that human beings are fundamentally emotional creatures. If you can see your money, if you can easily log into your bank account on your phone and look at a balance of $100,000, you will inevitably feel the massive, overwhelming temptation to spend it. Your brain will trick you into believing that because you have a large number on a screen, you can afford to buy a luxury car or take a massive vacation or upgrade your house. To protect their wealth from their own human emotions, the wealthy completely hide it. They put their money into accounts that are incredibly difficult to access. They build massive walls of friction between their daily lives and their investment capital. Here are the exact, actionable steps you must take to make your money invisible and unleash its ultimate earning power. Step 1. You must move your wealth completely out of your primary bank. In Chapter 3, we talked about setting up a wealth account. Now we must optimize the physical location of that account. If your checking account, your bills account, and your massive wealth account are all held at the exact same banking institution, you are in danger. Every single time you log in to pay your electric bill or check your grocery budget, you will see your massive wealth balance staring right back at you. It is too accessible. It is too visible. You must open your investment and savings accounts at a completely different, unrelated financial institution. Choose a highly reputable brokerage firm that specializes in long-term investing. When you set up the automatic transfers from your primary bank to this new brokerage account, you completely separate your daily spending money from your long-term wealth. You want to create a situation where you literally forget how much money you have. You do not download the mobile application for your brokerage account on your smartphone. You do not carry a debit card linked to that account in your wallet. If you want to see your wealth balance, you should have to physically walk to your computer, remember a complicated password, and intentionally log in. By creating this massive physical and digital distance, you ensure that your money remains completely invisible to your daily impulses. Once your money is safely hidden in a separate institution, you must tell your employees exactly what to do. You must invest the money. The word investing terrifies millions of people. The financial industry has intentionally made investing seem incredibly complicated. They use massive, confusing words and complex mathematical charts because they want you to believe that you cannot do it yourself. They want you to believe that you must hire an expensive financial advisor and pay them massive fees to manage your money for you. The frugal millionaire next door completely rejects this lie. Over 80% of true millionaires are self-made, first-generation rich. They did not inherit their money, and they do not have advanced degrees in international finance. They invest their money in incredibly boring, completely understandable, and highly reliable assets. They do not trade complicated stock options. They do not buy risky digital currencies. They do not try to guess which technology company will be the next big success. Instead, they rely on the single most powerful wealth-building tool ever created for the ordinary person: the broad market index fund. We briefly introduced the index fund in the story of Ronald Read. Now we must deeply understand the exact mechanics of why it is so powerful and exactly how you use it. An index fund is simply a massive basket that holds tiny pieces of hundreds or even thousands of the largest, most successful companies in the entire world. When you buy a single share of an index fund that tracks the 500 largest companies in the United States, you are instantly becoming a part owner of all 500 of those massive corporations. You own a microscopic piece of the companies that build airplanes, the companies that create life-saving medicines, the companies that sell groceries, and the companies that build computers. Why is this so incredibly powerful? It is powerful because of a concept called total diversification. In the world of business, individual companies fail every single day. Even massive, famous companies can make terrible decisions and go completely bankrupt. If you take all of your money and buy the stock of one single company, you are taking a massive, unnecessary risk. If that one company fails, your entire life savings is completely destroyed. But when you own an index fund, the failure of one company does not matter at all. If one company in your basket of 500 goes bankrupt, it is immediately replaced by a new, successful company. Meanwhile, the other 499 companies in your basket are still selling products, innovating, and generating massive profits. You are completely protected from individual corporate failure. You are no longer betting on one single horse to win the race. You own the entire racetrack. Step 2. You must select a low-cost, broad market index fund and commit to it forever. When you log into your new, completely separate brokerage account, you must search for a total stock market index fund or a 500 index fund. The most critical detail you must look for is something called the expense ratio. The expense ratio is the fee that the brokerage company charges you to manage the fund. Because an index fund is run by computer algorithms and simply tracks the overall market, it requires absolutely no expensive human managers. Therefore, the fees should be incredibly low. You should look for an index fund with an expense ratio of less than 0.1%. This means that for every $10,000 you invest, the company only charges you $10 a year in fees. This leaves 99.9% of your money completely untouched, allowing it to grow and compound for your own benefit. Never, ever invest your money in mutual funds that charge massive fees. Many financial advisors will try to sell you actively managed mutual funds with expense ratios of 1% or even 2%. A 1% fee might sound like a tiny amount of money, but over 30 years, that tiny fee will completely consume hundreds of thousands of dollars of your potential wealth. Wall Street builds its massive skyscrapers by extracting tiny fees from millions of uneducated investors. You must protect your money from these predators by choosing low-cost index funds. Once you have selected your fund and set up your automatic invisible transfers, you have to unleash the greatest mathematical miracle in the universe: compound interest. Compound interest is the snowball effect applied to your money. It is the reason why your money eventually starts making more money than you can make from your actual job. Let us explain exactly how compound interest works without using any confusing mathematical formulas. Imagine you invest $10,000 into your index fund. Over the course of a year, the companies in your fund grow, sell products, and pay you dividends. Let us say your investment grows by 10%. At the end of the year, your $10,000 has earned $1,000 in profit. You now have $11,000. Here is where the magic happens. In the second year, You do not just earn 10% on your original $10,000. You earn 10% on the new total of $11,000. Your profit for the second year is $1,100. In the third year, you earn 10% on $12,100. Your profits are generating their own profits. The money you earned is now going out and earning even more money. In the early years, this growth seems very slow. It feels like nothing is happening. But if you leave the money completely alone for 10, 20, or 30 years, the mathematical curve explodes upward. Your money begins to double, and then it doubles again, and then it doubles again. There is a simple mental tool you can use to understand the massive power of compounding. It is called the Rule of 72. If you want to know exactly how long it will take for your money to completely double in size, you simply divide the number 72 by the expected annual growth rate of your investment. Historically, the broad stock market has returned an average of about 10% per year over the long term. If we divide 72 by 10, we get 7.2. This means that on average your invested money will completely double every 7 years, even if you never add another single penny to the account. If you invest $50,000 today and simply leave it completely invisible and untouched, in 7 years it will become $100,000. In 14 years, it will become $200,000. In 21 years, it will become $400,000. In 28 years, it will become $800,000. Your initial $50,000 investment has grown into nearly $1 million, and you did absolutely zero physical work to achieve it. You simply allowed the invisible employees of compound interest to do their jobs without interrupting them. This brings us to the single greatest mistake that ordinary people make when investing, the mistake that completely destroys their wealth and guarantees they will never become the millionaire next door. They try to time the market. Timing the market is the foolish attempt to guess exactly what the economy is going to do tomorrow. People watch the financial news on television. The news anchors use loud, terrifying graphics and serious voices to announce that a massive economic crash is imminent. They talk about international conflicts, political elections, and rising inflation. They create a constant state of panic. The ordinary investor watches this news and becomes terrified. They log into their brokerage account and they sell all of their index funds because they want to protect their money. They turn their investments back into cash and sit on the sidelines waiting for the crash to happen. Sometimes the crash happens, but usually it does not. The market ignores the news and continues to go up. The ordinary investor watches the market climb higher and higher. Eventually, they can no longer stand the pain of missing out on the profits, so they buy back into their index funds. But because the market has already gone up, they have to pay a much higher price for the exact same shares they sold months ago. They sold their investments when they were afraid, and they bought them back when they felt greedy. They sold low and bought high. This is the absolute exact opposite of how you build wealth. The financial news media is an entertainment product designed to keep your eyes glued to the television screen so they can sell highly expensive advertising. They do not care about your financial future. The frugal millionaire next door possesses absolute, unbreakable emotional control. They understand a fundamental truth about human history. The global economy always experiences periods of deep recession. Stock markets crash. Real estate values drop. Businesses go bankrupt. It is a completely natural part of the economic cycle, just like winter is a natural part of the weather cycle. But the millionaire also knows that after every single winter, spring eventually arrives. Every single massive stock market crash in the history of the world has eventually been followed by a massive recovery that pushed the market to new, unprecedented heights. Step 3. You must completely eliminate financial news from your life. You must go on a permanent, absolute information diet. Unfollow every single financial commentator on social media. Delete the stock market tracking applications from your phone. Never watch the financial television networks. When the inevitable economic crash happens and the entire world is panicking, you must do absolutely nothing. You must look at your invisible wealth account and simply ignore it. In fact, if you have extra cash available, an economic crash is the absolute greatest time in the world to buy more index funds. When the market crashes by 30%, It means that the greatest companies in the world are suddenly on sale for a massive 30% discount. While the amateurs are selling in total panic, the quiet millionaires are aggressively buying everything they can. Time in the market will absolutely always beat timing the market. Your only job is to buy consistently, hold patiently, and let decades of human progress do the heavy lifting for you. Now we must turn our attention to the final and most complex enemy of your wealth. This enemy is incredibly powerful, and it operates completely within the bounds of the law. This enemy takes more of your hard-earned money than any other expense in your entire life. This enemy is taxes. Most ordinary people do not understand how taxes actually work. They believe that everyone pays the exact same percentage of their income to the government. This is a massive illusion. The tax code is not a simple set of rules. It is a massive, highly complicated rulebook designed to reward certain behaviors and punish other behaviors. Ordinary people earn their money through a salary or an hourly wage. This is called earned income. Earned income is the absolute most heavily taxed form of money on the planet. By the time you receive your paycheck, the government has already taken a massive portion of it for income taxes, social programs, and medical programs. You have absolutely no control over this. The government takes their share before you even see the money. But the wealthy do not build their fortunes using earned income. They build their fortunes using investments. When your investments grow in value, that growth is treated completely differently by the government. Let us go back to our apple tree analogy. If you plant an apple tree, and that tree grows massive and produces thousands of apples, the government does not tax you simply because the tree grew larger. As long as you leave the tree in the ground and do not chop it down to sell the wood, the massive growth in the value of the tree is completely untaxed. This is called unrealized capital gains. The frugal millionaire next door leaves their money in their index funds for decades. Their account balance might grow from $50,000 to $2 million. Because they never sell the shares, that massive $1,950,000 of pure profit is completely invisible to the tax authorities. They are legally accumulating massive wealth without paying a single penny of tax on the growth. When they finally do decide to sell some of their investments to fund their retirement, the profit is taxed at a completely different, much lower rate called the long-term capital gains rate. The government actively rewards people who invest their money for the long term by charging them significantly lower taxes than people who work for a daily wage. But it gets even better. The government has created specific, highly powerful legal shields that you can use to completely block taxes from touching your money. These shields are called tax-advantaged retirement accounts. In the United States, the most common legal tax shields are the 401k plan offered by your employer and the individual retirement account, which you can open on your own. Other countries have very similar programs with different names. The concept is identical worldwide. The government wants you to save for your own retirement so that you do not rely on public assistance when you are old. To encourage you to save, they offer massive legal tax loopholes. Step 4. You must aggressively exploit every single legal tax shield available to you. If your employer offers a 401k plan, you must immediately enroll in it. When you put your money into a traditional 401k, the government allows you to hide that exact amount of money from your current income taxes. If you earn $60,000 a year and you contribute $10,000 into your traditional 401k, the government pretends that you only earned $50,000 that year. They completely ignore the $10,000 you invested. You instantly save thousands of dollars in taxes this year, and that $10,000 is locked safely inside an invisible vault where it can grow and compound for decades without the government taking a single piece of the profit. Furthermore, many employers offer a massive, unbelievable benefit called an employer match. This means that if you contribute a certain amount of your own money to the retirement account, the company will match it with their own corporate money. If your company offers a 5% match and you put 5% of your salary into the account, the company hands you another 5% completely for free. This is literally free money. It is a 100% guaranteed instant return on your investment. There is absolutely no investment on the planet that guarantees a 100% return on day one. If your employer offers a match, you must contribute at least enough to capture every single penny of that free money. Refusing to take the employer match is the exact equivalent of walking past a massive pile of $100 bills sitting on the sidewalk and refusing to pick them up simply because you are too lazy to bend over. You must also utilize the incredible power of the individual retirement account, specifically the Roth version, if it is available in your country. The Roth individual retirement account is the ultimate stealth wealth weapon. When you put money into a Roth account, you do pay income taxes on the money today. But here is the massive, unbelievable benefit. Once the money is inside the Roth account, it grows completely tax-free forever. And when you are old and you finally withdraw the millions of dollars from the account to live on, you pay absolutely zero taxes on the withdrawals. Every single penny of profit belongs entirely to you. It is the ultimate impenetrable fortress against future taxation. By combining low-cost index funds with these massive legal tax shields, you are building an empire that is mathematically unstoppable. You are keeping your money completely out of sight. You are allowing the global economy to push your wealth higher, and you are legally denying the government the ability to slow your progress. Now, we must ask the final and most important question of this entire journey. Why are we doing all of this? What is the actual goal? The goal of the frugal millionaire next door is not to hoard massive piles of gold like a dragon sleeping in a cave. The goal is not to die with the largest possible bank account balance. Money has absolutely no intrinsic value. It is just paper and digital numbers. The only true value of money is its ability to buy your ultimate freedom. The goal is to reach a mathematical tipping point where your invisible army of money produces enough daily profit to completely cover your living expenses without you ever having to work another day in your life. This is the definition of true financial independence. How do you know when you have reached this point? How do you know when you finally have enough? The financial mathematics community has studied this exact question for decades. They looked at the history of the stock market, the history of inflation, and the history of massive economic crashes. They ran thousands of computer simulations to determine exactly how much money a person needs to safely retire and never run out of cash. The result of this massive research is an incredibly simple, highly powerful formula known as the 4% rule. The 4% rule states that if your money is invested in a broad portfolio of index funds, you can safely withdraw 4% of your total starting balance every single year, adjust that withdrawal for inflation every year, and your money will almost certainly last for 30 years or more without ever running out. In many cases, because the stock market grows so powerfully, you will actually end up with more money when you die than when you started, even after withdrawing money every single year. This rule gives you the exact precise target for your entire financial journey. To find your freedom number, you simply take your total annual living expenses and multiply that number by 25. Let us do the math right now. If you have completely defeated lifestyle creep, if you have no massive car payments, if you are living in a modest home, and you have mastered the art of everyday frugality, your annual living expenses might be $40,000 a year. If you need $40,000 a year to live a highly comfortable, completely peaceful life, you multiply 40,000 by 25. The answer is $1 million. $1 million is your absolute finish line. The exact second your invisible wealth accounts hit a total of $1 million, you are completely, absolutely, and permanently free. Your money is now generating enough profit every single year to replace your physical labor. You can walk into your office, thank your manager for the opportunity, and politely resign. You can spend the rest of your life reading books at the library, hiking in the woods, volunteering in your community, and raising your children in absolute peace. But what if you are trapped in the lifestyle creep cycle? What if you need $100,000 a year just to pay for your massive mortgage, your luxury leased cars, and your incredibly expensive habits? You multiply 100,000 by 25. Your freedom number is now $2,500,000. By demanding a highly expensive lifestyle, you have pushed your finish line massively far away. You will have to work high-stress, exhausting hours for decades longer, just to accumulate the massive mountain of cash required to support your unnecessary luxuries. This is why frugality is the ultimate shortcut to absolute freedom. Every single time you permanently lower your living expenses, you are massively decreasing the total amount of wealth you need to accumulate. When you cut out a stupid digital subscription, when you start cooking your own meals, when you buy a used car with cash, you are literally buying back years of your own human life. You are moving the finish line closer to you at incredible speed. Step 5. You must conduct an annual wealth audit and calculate your freedom number. Once a year, and absolutely only once a year, you must sit down with a piece of paper. Add up all the money you spent over the last 12 months. Be completely honest with yourself. Then multiply that total number by 25. This is your current target. Next, log into your separate, invisible brokerage accounts and look at your total massive balance. Compare your current wealth to your ultimate target. You will be able to clearly see your progress. You will see that you are 20% of the way there, then 40%, then 70%. This annual ritual provides massive, unstoppable motivation. It proves that the system is working. Then, you close the laptop, you forget about the accounts, and you go back to living your joyful, simple, highly intentional life for another 12 months. We have reached the end of this incredible journey together. I want you to take a very deep breath and recognize the profound power you now hold in your hands. You have been given the exact blueprint to completely rewrite your financial destiny. You understand the absolute toxic danger of trying to look rich to impress total strangers. You know that true wealth is quiet, humble, and completely invisible. You have drawn inspiration from the incredible stoic life of the janitor millionaire, realizing that consistency and patience will completely destroy high income and arrogance every single time. You have built the impenetrable banking architecture of the pay-yourself-first lifestyle. You are no longer funding the extravagant lives of corporate executives. You are funding your own ultimate empire. You know how to combat the terrifying psychology of lifestyle creep. You use the 24-hour rule, you avoid the false economy of cheap goods, and you practice deep, powerful gratitude to stay completely off the hedonic treadmill. And finally, you know exactly how to deploy your saved capital. You send your invisible army of dollars out into the massive global economy using highly diversified, low-cost index funds. You protect that army using legal tax shields. You completely ignore the terrified screaming of the financial news media. And you navigate your ship using the unshakable mathematics of the 4% rule. The path ahead of you is incredibly simple, but it will require absolute dedication. There will be days when you want to quit. There will be days when the stock market drops and you feel a moment of fear. There will be days when you see a friend driving a brand new luxury car and you will feel a tiny sting of jealousy. In those moments of weakness, you must remember the absolute incredible prize waiting for you at the end of the road. You are not just saving money. You are saving your own precious, irreplaceable time. You are building a life where you never have to ask another human being for permission to take a day off. You are building a life where financial panic simply does not exist. You are becoming the master of your own destiny. You have the knowledge, you have the tools. The only thing left to do is to take relentless, massive action. Start today. Do not wait for a perfect moment. Do not wait until next month. Make the decision right now that you refuse to be a slave to consumerism any longer. Stand up, take absolute control of your resources, and begin building the quiet, unbreakable fortress of the millionaire next door. Thank you for spending your time with me and taking this incredible step toward your financial freedom. The journey to becoming the frugal millionaire next door starts with the very next decision you make. If you found value in this journey and want to keep fueling your mind with stories of success, growth, and practical wisdom, make sure to join our community here at Audiowaves. Hit that subscribe button, leave a comment with your biggest takeaway, and let us continue riding the waves of success together. See you in the next one.